Alright, it has been way too long since I've done some work in this shop. I've been out working on my motorcycle for about 2 months, and that work is a lot of fun, but it's pretty different. And I think being away from the shop sort of took an unexpected toll on my mood. I missed it. So I'm back now, anyway. The bike is just about up and running. So I'm back. I want to work on a lamp today. I've been thinking about this design for a while, and in order to help me, I built this. I got this bandsaw for like $25 at a local flea market. Took me forever to figure out what length blade it needed. If you have a saw like this blade is 57.5 inches, and you kind of almost have to order it special. There are very few places that make them. But anyway, so I got this. And I got this. This is a router table, and I built this bench. You could look up flip top workbench on YouTube and you'll find some videos of people doing it. The whole mechanism is pretty simple. I just made it out of scrap wood I had in the shop. So I want to use this in particular for this design I've got. So let me tell you about the design. Oh yeah. I also made this. It's just a big wooden drawer organizer. Got a lot of stuff, so I'll show you what we need. Gonna need one of these. Gonna need this guy. Definitely gonna need one of these. And we're gonna need a piece of walnut here, like this guy. So I demonstrated this in my last project, but these dimmers, if you go from all the way off to all the way on, it's almost a full 360 degrees. And so what that means, and I did this in the last lamp, you need to have all this free space if you're going to use a dimmer and have a knob at the end. Oh, and anyway, if you're using a low wattage bulb like I am, you don't even see any light until around here, right? But I obviously want that click, that's it turning on and off. And so I figure, the lamp should be able to completely turn off. You don't want it just resting at a very low wattage. When you turn it off, it should be off. So I'd love to have a lamp with a knob that just was a slight movement, right? But then I can never turn it on and off. So I also want an on-off switch. And so I got thinking about this idea, and I've been thinking about old motorcycles and old cars and stuff, and I guess that's where I got the idea of, let me grab some pipe. So basically, my idea is to have the neck of the lamp come up and, have some head of the lamp up here, comes down into here, and then over here, you'd have this sort of like a gear shift lever almost is sort of how I imagined it, but it would just be up and down, not like an actual, not like a manual, I guess more like an automatic. So this is moving, right? But obviously I can't get that full 360 degrees. It would have to be on the outside, and that would be a whole issue. So it's just gonna go from sort of dim to all the way lit. And then on this side, I'm gonna have a switch to turn it on and off. So you can turn it on, select your how bright you want it, and that's independent of whether it's on or off. That way also, I don't know, maybe you select you love it exactly this bright, and then you can just turn it on and off from there and it'll hold. So that came partly from, like I said, just sort of thinking about what would be a cool mechanical action to use, and then also thinking about what is possible. So let me walk you through how I'm imagining building this. So this switch has to come out of this side, right? And the reason I put it over here was because this way I can drill the hole for the switch, but I can actually just bring it all the way over to here. And then this same hole ends up being where the sort of shaft of the dimmer switch is. So there you are. Then these are on the same axis. This will just be centered. And then this is where the router table comes in. I'm gonna route out some space like here. And then that's where this will drop down into, and you'll rotate the dimmer switch in this groove. So this will be cut out, dimmer switch will be down there and there, switch is on this side. Lamp neck is coming out of here, and we'll do some, I don't know what for the actual neck, some sort of long brass piece and a, you know, lampshade style head. The real sort of mechanical challenge is going to be happening down here. First 3/8. Alright, so you can see I'm just trying to get a vague sense of what it's going to look like round. Okay, it's here. On a router table, I can't do a plunge cut, so I'm going to have to start this. I got just with a 1/2" bit, and then get the straight bit on the router table. But before I do any of that, I'm going to test the router table and my idea on this piece of poplar. Alright, take 2. That's terrible. Oh, I see. Alright, so here's the first test you saw. Not great. Second test, definitely better, but I mean, these lines are just not straight. And here's a third test. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to do the real thing now. I'm gonna start with just a really shallow depth so that if I don't like it, I can get on the lathe and just trim off the cut part. Oops, I forgot to film that. But I got started, drilled the center to the depth I want, and then look, I'm just taking really small bites, and it actually looks pretty good. Alright, you know what? I am pretty happy with that. Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So, a couple things went not how I expected. Firstly, you can see right into the groove that I made for the dimmer switch.
Alright, so it's been a week or two since the last clip, and right now, the problem that I've been tackling for the last couple weeks is down here. You can see right down through there, and there's really not much I can do in the way of building this out with wood, I don't think, so that that's not visible. Obviously, this was not how it was designed, so I'm trying to pivot, and, you know, like in your grandpa's car, he has this sort of deal, right, where that's kind of the idea I'm messing with right now. And then I have this brass rod, and I was thinking I'd sharpen both ends and kind of like long staples almost. And like I said, it already didn't work out, kind of already improvising. I'm gonna make like a wooden model. Alright, I've been working at this for a while now. Basically, with the leather, you lose a lot of mobility. So I set this up so I could throw in a bulb and take a look at the brightness of it, and as you can see, it's like almost imperceptible, the difference that it makes.
Alright, so this is kind of where I ended up on the base of this lamp, and to be honest, I just really don't like how this leather is turning out. So what I decided is I'm just going to remake the base of this lamp and make sure this slot is full so you can't see down into the dimmer. This is sort of the original design. This whole leather thing was kind of a pivot after I hauled this out and sort of ruined this shifter slot. So now on this design, instead of hollowing it out on the lathe, I'm just going to use the router here. You can see I marked out this area where the dimmer will fit. Alright, so I was working on this, didn't realize the camera battery died, but basically I popped through on you can see into that groove here, which I was trying not to do, but I needed this spot for the chuck. So I hollowed out this area, outer ring, for the bottom cap. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I just go all the way down with this so that this full thing is open, and then see what it looks like when I put it all together, and maybe I glue a piece of walnut on the bottom so it's kind of invisible. But I'm not going to be able to go back from this point, so I might as well, I think, cut down the rest of the way, see what it looks like with the slot there, and go from there. Alright, so it's been a couple days and I've put some work in here, so I want to show you where we're at. So this is the bottom of the base of the lamp, and you can see here, this is the area we routed out for the dimmer switch. And the way that this all works is that this slips in from the top, these holes here align, and this comes through, and now this switch works. And then we're using the lid, and this just sits right on here, and then as you can see, I put in these 4 threaded inserts. And so this goes on top, you line up the holes, and then use these flathead brass bolts. So I'm thinking I might just leave this thing open. I mean, you really don't see down in there at all. And so I think I'm just gonna sort of leave it as is. Yeah, now what I have to get done is the light switch part. And so you can see here's how I did it on the other one. You can see just how different these two versions are. But on this one, I just hollowed this area out with a Forstner bit, and then you can get your switch down in there. So I want to do a similar thing here, but I have much more wall thickness here to deal with. And that's on purpose because it makes the whole thing sturdier, and it makes sure this edge is clean. So I like this thick edge. I just need to figure out a way to basically get the switch down there and then push it in. So alright, I'm pretty sure I said like explicitly in another clip that I didn't want to damage this edge, and I went ahead and did it. It's my first time using a Dremel, so I'll give myself a pass, but it does look pretty bad. That is pretty glaring. So what I'm going to do is put this back on the lathe and just clean up this inside edge. Should be fine. There should be enough thickness. It'll be fine. And also I'm going to sand this opening. I had to make it a little wider for the switch, but it does now click in there pretty nicely. Obviously the opening isn't super pretty, but it worked, and there's a little bit of a threads exposed, so I can screw that on. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on the lathe now, clean up this edge. Alright, so there you are. There's the new bottom. So there you are. I got the switch, fits in, the dimmer fits in, bottom's on. Now we just have to figure out the top. And for that, I'm waiting for some hardware to come in the mail, because I want to try something new maybe with the attachment to the neck of the lamp. So I think I decided where I want to go with the with the neck and the head of this lamp. I was using some scrap pieces of bent pipe and some wire, which I coiled around a dowel to make these sort of models. And I think I'm gonna have something like this that can pivot on the threads of one of these couplings. So this will be the shape. So I realized I haven't done a video where I explained the pipe bending. So basically I just have some play sand that I've sifted out all the big chunks, so it's sort of a finer sand, and I fill the brass pipe with it and cap either end with masking tape. And then at the bottom here, I need some more leverage because I have to start this bend really close to the bottom of the brass. So I add this lamp nipple so I can clamp down here and bend closer to the bottom of the pipe. And it's just a case of using the blowtorch and some pliers in the vise to bend the pipe. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so it's been about a week or two since the last clip in this video, and I've gotten a bunch of stuff from Graham Brass Lamp Parts. That's where I always order my stuff because they're local, it ships really quick. So the most important stuff here are these flanges for this project because I'm going to use them instead of my normal technique. I'm actually, at the moment, a friend of mine who has a lamp, I guess he dropped it or something and it broke. And it kind of shows a weakness in my previous designs, which is this joint right here and this joint, which are just glued. Now this is like a two-part epoxy. I think it'll be fine. But ideally, going forward, I like the idea that all of my lamps can be completely assembled or reassembled with just a screwdriver. Makes repairing things a lot easier. So that's why I like these flanges. They're threaded with the lamp pipe size, and you can just screw them down. And I think what I'll do is drill a little hole this diameter. I think it's like 1.5 inches, and it'll kind of rest sort of in there. You screw it in with 3 flatheads, and then that's a much better connection than just gluing in a 5/8 coupling, which is what I've done in the past. Alright, so now I need to make the head or the shade of the lamp, and this does not look good, but it does work. These bayonet style sockets have a threaded end, and then you can use one of these couplings to thread into them. I was planning on using a smaller version of one of these flanges, but I also think this is just way too bulky. I really do prefer the look of this small 5/8 coupling. So the idea is just going to be like where we have right now, where we have this washer. We're instead going to make the head itself a sort of washer. We're going to drill in here with our 5/8 hole, and then we're going to bring it down to just a 3/8 hole. So the threaded rod goes in here, the coupling goes in here, and then this surface is kind of like the washer, and it should lock everything together. Nope. Alright, so now it's time for assembly. Off camera I drilled this hole for the power to come in. I'm going to use these bullet connectors, these bullet style connectors, because it kind of goes with the theme of automotive, and also it makes this almost fully disassemblable with just a screwdriver, which was the goal. Alright, so I added this little bolt in here, and it puts tension on the dimmer so that it stays fully pressed against the little knob in the groove. So screw these together. That just threads in there. I just cut the threads using this pipe. Just ran it in and out a couple times. Here's the preset. I'm going to turn the dimmer all the way to the right, which is on. Hold the knob all the way over to the right there, and then work them together so that this is all the way on. And if I unscrew this bolt, basically it just puts some force against the back of this dimmer and kind of locks it in there. Now, we obviously want the power to run first through the switch. Switch comes in here. And because this is all an incandescent system, it doesn't matter which way the power is going. Basically now you can see the power is going into the switch, out of the switch into the dimmer, out of the dimmer into here, and out of the power into here. So now these two need to line up into our lamp. Now for this, you want to attach this first because there's like a specific orientation that this sits in. So I believe I had it like this so that you could loosen it, bring it over here, tighten it all the way over there. So steel wool for the top here. Alright, so next, gotta get the lampshade here. Socket, we're gonna go through the lampshade, pinch the shade. Now we can run the cord through here. am pretty directly trying to take inspiration from the shifter on my bike here. So there's my gear shifter lamp. I took inspiration from my motorcycle and other sort of automotive things I've been interested in recently, and I was able to make a lamp, my first lamp, with absolutely no glue or epoxy holding it together. So it's all just screwed together, and it can just as easily come apart as it came together. So honestly, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I got to try a lot of new hardware, and I think I learned a lot that I'm going to apply for my next couple projects. Thanks for watching.